What's up, everybody, and welcome to the House of Holocrons, episode number 64. And in this podcast, we're going to be going over the two infiltration and extraction episodes that we got this morning for the Bad Batch, as well as maybe touch on a few other topics just throughout this. But we're going to mostly be talking about Bad Batch and the clones. What an amazing two-part episode we just got, where pretty much D. Bradley Baker just got to talk to himself for a solid hour plus, but it's worth it. I can't imagine how, odd of a sensation it is to be like, oh yeah, we're going to film a recording today. Who you got coming in? D. Bradley Baker. Oh, for what? All of it.
Well, you have the Omega lines, but other than that, yeah.
There was a little bit with Ryo Chuchi, and there's a little bit with Omega, but yeah, besides that, it's all clones, all episode, which these two episodes were really cool. A lot of us were very curious, of course, infiltration and extraction. What's going to happen? Is this going to be them going back to Tantus? And no. Long story short, they're just trying to figure stuff out still. It's a really good episode that threw a lot of subterfuge our way. The first one is a little bit more about, the build-up to this mission that will then take place in the second episode.
Yeah, it was something that needed to happen. Mm-hmm. It was a reunion of multiple clones that really needed to happen.
A lot, yeah.
For continuity for later on. And then, to get the ball rolling, they're going to have to get Rex involved. And Rex to get involved, they have to, one, see him again. And two, they got to see Crosshair again. So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, it was funny that I feel like it wasn't just us that got the infiltration side wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We were thinking that it was going to be them infiltrating on Mount Tantus, but no, this was them being infiltrated.
Yes, I love the name. We get to learn that Rex and I guess the boys, the clones, have given a name to these new black suited infiltrators, shadows, as Rex calls them, which someone makes a much more honest opinion as to why the other episode we had was called The Shadow of Tantus. It could have been referring to that. The Bug Eyes. A lot of people refer to him as Bug Eyes. Hey guys, guess what? It's not tech. Quit thinking it's tech. It's not tech.
Well, the problem with it being people thinking it's tech and
mm-hmm.
from the trailer and everything else is, or in episode 1, we have already seen these guys before.
Right, exactly.
Originally, they called them Clone X because they didn't know what to call them because they didn't have a number. So originally, they gave them the nomenclature Clone X, and we saw them in season 2. So this isn't new. I mean, there's two sides of the coin here. If they did capture him, yes, they would probably make him into one of these soldiers.
Or try.
As Crosshair proved that being a defective clone makes it impossible for that to happen.
Yeah, they were pretty much based around what Crosshair was meant to be for the Empire. This ultimate assassin that would just follow orders and not ever challenge the Empire whatsoever. And it worked for these average clones, these regs, who then got turned into the shadows.
And like I said, as Crosshair proved, it can't be, tech can't be one of these guys.
Yep. And amazing scenes though that we get throughout this entire time where all the other clones are looking at Crosshair like, I don't know if I trust him, and for good reason. Like, no one ever comes out and says you guys are being not nice. Like, I'll leave it to Omega. These two episodes, she doesn't come out with any of this, we should all be best friends. It's very simply like, no, this is some crap going on and the brothers need to deal with it the way clones deal with it. Let them do their thing. I mean, Hauser's immediately like, bro, I would punch you in the face so hard right now if I could. Captain Hauser, of course, lost most of his crew on Ryloth after what I'm sure was a crazy fight, them helping the batch, and then, of course, the arresting that leads Hauser to who knows what happened after that, where it was literally half of his men versus half of his men.
Well, as we see with Omega, she's definitely starting to, because she already was taking after each of the members, but she didn't really get to be around Crosshair very much. So you could see her at the beginning. She's putting toothpick in her mouth, literally taunting him. So she's going to get that side from him that she hasn't gotten yet. So yeah, it's going to help her mature, where he is heavy-handed like Hunter, but not like heavy-handed caring. He's heavy-handed. I'm going to protect you, and I'm
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure you do the right thing.
I couldn't remember what she was
Whether-
doing, but yeah, she's doing something, and he's like, "Don't do that." And she's like, "You're worse than you're as bad as Hunter." And he goes, "I'm worse." And I'm like, "Okay, Daddy Crosshair is coming out."
So this is the very mean uncle.
Yeah.
That it's
He doesn't
it's like
mince
the uncle
words.
that was like ex-military, ex-drill sergeant. That's like he's there to protect you and to do whatever. He'll sacrifice. He'll go.
Look, he loves you. He just doesn't know how to tell you.
Well, that's his way of loving you.
Yeah, it's just you're protected, you're fed, you're good.
And for me, I've personally witnessed this kind of caring a lot, so I understand it. I understand that it comes off as mean and brash, and no, it's his way of caring for you. He's showing you the right way to do things. He's keeping you in line for a reason. It may not see on front that he cares for her, but when it comes to it, as we've seen, he will literally put his life in front of her.
Yes. And I love the just random clones we do get. Like, that first episode, you're literally, like, they're just listing off, oh, this guy, oh, this guy, oh, here's this guy, oh, here's this guy. And you're like, oh my god, it's all the clones! Oh! No Cody still, sadly, so he's still MIA at the moment.
We did get to hear from Gregor. Who we thought was, because we knew he lives because of Rebels, but we hadn't seen him ever. And the Bad Batch, I don't think we've seen him once.
Yeah, he was off doing his own thing.
Really, is Scorch, I believe.
Yeah, and then Echo goes off to grab Gregor in the second episode. But well, then before all of that, I mean, we're getting like a lot of heat between these clones and Crosshair. Crosshair gives him the information that he has. He's like, I don't think you understand that I was a prisoner. They didn't tell me where we were going or how we got there. I just showed up one day on Mount Tantus and they started to do things to me.
Yeah, just because it's a big galaxy, just because you're on a planet doesn't mean you know where you're at if you've never been to that planet before. But even before all of that happens, we actually get a lot of big lore drop that kind of they push subtly with the representatives.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about early introduction to separatist planets, which we knew was a thing into the Rebel Alliance that isn't a Rebel Alliance yet.
Yeah.
And this is when we start seeing some of these because some of these people joined the separatists just because they wanted to be alone. They didn't want to be part of the Republic. It's not that they hated the Republic. It's just they just didn't want to be part of the Republic. They want to be independent.
And that sentiment carried over into the Empire. A lot of the SIS, the separatist systems, hated the Empire as well. So, I mean, if you're going to start a rebellion, where else would you look besides the last guys that tried to rebel?
Yeah, I'm curious. Even though Dooku went down to the dark side, if he wasn't killed off, I wonder if he would actually have joined the Empire.
I would 100%
wouldn't.
Yeah, no, he would have been like, no, hold on. You said Sereno would be like, Palpatine would still control Sereno, and he'd be like, no, that's not what we talked about. Sereno's supposed to be free. These systems are supposed to be free. And then, that would cause like a whole fight. It'd be like this crazy, weird Sith schism thing. That'd be kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, it's funny because how the Republic changes the Empire. And this is a great example. Like I said, it's pretty short compared to the rest of it. We see more of this in the later stuff when we get into some with the Rebels, when we get into some with Andor.
Yeah.
We realize that, and it makes sense that because a lot of these people in the Separatists were just independent planets, and they definitely would not side with the Empire. Why would they? It's the whole reason they didn't join the Republic. Why would they? So they are, even though they were the bad guys previously, now they're valuable allies for the upcoming Rebel Alliance.
And that's going to prove to be a big point with this. So it was good to see Rao Chuchi again. You know, she gets let out. These assassins are after her. They capture one, and that's what really leads all of this into the major moment. They capture one of the shadows, and they're going to take him back for questioning and stuff. And that's then what kind of leads into the second. That this is like that. Then we get to the infiltration episode. But I love it because the whole time they're like, "Yeah, we found him." Crosshair's like, "You need to kill him or throw his body out of an airlock stat because the Empire will find him."
Well, at the point now, they're like, because it's been so. Well, when he doesn't actually sit. What he says is, "We gotta leave."
Yeah, he's just like, "Get out of here."
The body's been there long enough that the Empire knows exactly where they're at. So even if they get rid of the body, it doesn't matter at this point.
It's like we all just gotta go, or even if they don't want to go, that's fine. But the batch, we need to go.
Yeah, that prisoner was very smart of like antagonizing them because
Hmm.
they did not believe him at all. He's like, no, you need to listen to me. He's lying to you. We have to leave.
Yeah. And like they even do the thing, he's like, "Whoa, why don't you talk to them, brother?" And it's one of those things like you can still tell the clone is in there, but they've been so horribly treated and tortured and reconstructed to be this, killing machine. And Crosshair feels bad for him. Like Crosshair has that moment almost where he's looking at this guy like, "I'd rather just put you out of your misery, and not because I want to kill you, but because like I feel sorry for you. Like you're going through
He knows
hell."
what they, yeah, he knows what they go through. He knows how they're made because he was in that position. So
Right.
yeah, that's the difference between him and the others because even though this is like the one clone that the rest of them don't really feel sorry for,
Mm-hmm.
but since he's been on that side, he's like, hey, it's not his fault. He's been pretty much brain wiped.
Right.
Everything. He's not himself.
And that's when we find out that there is another one who's like, "Why did I get activated?" I don't think he's the leader. It's just like there are just probably a
Yeah.
few of these guys around. And he's like, "Oh, well, you're activated." And, Scorch tells him, "I now need you to go kill the other one who's been compromised because he's been captured." He doesn't even tell him to, like, destroy the clones. No, just get rid of the guy before he talks or says anything stupid.
Is a well, it's very Cold War esque,
Yeah.
but also the new ship design that we got from that.
Oh my gosh. Dude, that ship is so amazing.
The old Jedi fighter, but
yeah. Imperial.
way different. It don't even look Imperial. It looks
more Sith.
Yeah, well, it looked more like the CIS stuff.
Yeah,
the screens and everything were like triangles and stuff. It
right.
reminded me of like old Separatists.
Dude, just
the later Separatists.
The design of the outer ship, though, the two big red engines at the back, and that just sleek pyramid shape, like an arrowhead. It looked gorgeous. I absolutely love that ship design, and I like the armor of the X as well.
Like what a Sith would definitely.
100%, 100%. So now I'm wondering, like, are these guys like altered a little with Sith alchemy? Like, are these because with all the cloning going on in Tantus, the Sith powering, all this stuff, like they have to be doing something to make these clones bigger, better, faster, stronger. And I'm not saying they're imbuing them with the dark side, but they're doing like something.
Well, maybe they're doing some early experiments on with the kind of the transfer of the spirit of the mind or whatever
right, exactly
mentioned before. Maybe they're just kind of doing the same thing how they're doing with plan on doing with Palpatine, where they're just copying and pasting this mind. So they don't have to train these guys at all. They just take this complete mind of this they developed for this agent and just kind of copy and pasting it onto each other.
But yeah, that ship design was so pretty.
How it says they got rid of their identity at that point.
And that's the crazy thing. Even when they kept no numbers, nothing.
Get rid of their identity.
Yeah.
Because even the cloners said they didn't have identity. They were just numbers, but they developed identity over time. Yep. So this might be like a more perfected, maybe the Sith, like I said, like you said, the Sith magic, maybe something to do with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Sith alchemy has an ability to really cut off their ability to feel. Like it literally shuts them down from feeling remorse or sorrow because like it's just the dark side is just like in their head, just like constantly eating at them. But it's awesome. That ship looked so cool.
I will say though, the control pad being up here doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, there's why you don't do it Star Warsy about it.
Because
like underarm.
I get it. It's supposed to look cool, but having it not being on your wrist makes no sense because you can't see that.
Yeah.
And then if you have to look down, whereas you can raise your arm up and you don't have to look down.
Right.
So that's like, it's not made no sense at all. But it looked cool. I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. The Clone X, that armor and like that shadow style, that's just rule of cool all over the place. Their helmet is like
the armor is actually.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue about depending on how we can't see inside the helmet.
Right.
But how it opens up and stuff like that, it actually isn't that terrible. It's definitely at least more. It's definitely at least it's not like the Shadow Troopers, which they developed back. I think they're canon now, which is just black colored armor.
Oh yeah,
they did it, or the black colored Scout armor and the black colored Stormtrooper armor. It's like that's not really stealthy at all. You still got that loud clanky armor. So at least these guys have like actually stealth. You can be quiet.
And he stealths around the entire vicinity, laying down some bombs, getting diversions set up, stuff like that. Like he's infiltrating no problem whatsoever because they're all so busy, worried about Crosshair, worried about this guy they've captured, and Echo's gone, so they have no main ship right now.
Well, that guy knows at that point that he's got to be a distraction because he knows by now somebody's gonna be coming after me. So
yeah,
he's
well,
gonna
that's when he finds out. Things get worse because he finds out that Omega is there, and now his priorities have to change. Not only is he going to get rid of that clone, now he's also need to capture Omega alive, of course. Which this is going to cause a huge problem with a really awesome thing I did not see coming. We've seen him. We saw him in a bit of the trailer. This episode, these two, we get Wolf back. Finally, he's in command of clones still, so it's still a full clone regiment, it looks like. Besides maybe a few TKs here or there. I'm sure that he would just send them off. He wants to work with clones.
He seems like he has the Cody treatment where he is just being lied to.
Yeah.
He doesn't. And what they were doing to Cody is they basically were sending him to barely basic missions. So it's weird they sent him to this because he seems in control. And so it's weird.
Very much so.
Something like this important because Cody, they were basically keeping in the background because they knew he was in control. So he just was being fed propaganda. So he's like, oh, it's just the same thing, just a different name. But then he started to find out.
Yeah.
Cody, they started, with some of the clones being kicked out and stuff. He started to realize what's going on. Whereas Wolf apparently still in the dark.
Well, it's like the same thing with what we see in Rebels. Wolf will happily, I think, put the blinders on a little heavier than others because he's just he is the epiphany of just a soldier. He's like, I'm just here to shoot blaster bolts and get told orders. I'm not here to think.
Well, he is a little more violent than the other commanders,
yes,
for sure.
Yeah. He was using a lot of the blitzing. Yeah, he's a very aggressive commander.
But you could tell that once he realizes they're clones, he started like, these are clones, these aren't insurgents.
Yes,
and he's
100%.
Like, and he's like, well, we got to put stun to capture her. But I feel like he's really wanting stun to stun the clones.
Well, and then, because then eventually they Weapon X, Shadow Clone is not. He's just shooting things, and then he shoots down the ship. And again, Wolf's like, stand down and go away. I have told you twice now to stop using lethal force while she's not dead. Yeah, but she could be. Like, you're jeopardizing the mission. Go away. Was he really? I doubt it. But something in Wolf's head was just like, he was like, I don't like you being here. You're a problem. Because even the commando was listening to him. He's still a commander. He outranks the commando.
Yeah.
And that was the big one. So the commandos still have free will to a degree too, because when Wolf, eventually they have an altercation and Wolf says, I'm not doing this. Rex is able to talk to him a little bit, and Wolf just has his guys stand down. And even the commando stands down. The commando just does what he's told. So, like, I'm wondering if even maybe some of these commandos aren't as brainwashed as we all thought they were, and some of them are just like the other clones.
They could still be. I mean, they're supposed to be following orders. That's the whole thing. So, and in their mind, they are still following orders. I wonder over time if the chips start to wear off, though. And that's what I think we're starting to see.
Yeah.
But I think Wolf is just full in control. And I think that's the reason why. Not only is he getting mad because it's stupid to keep blowing stuff up when they're supposed to keep her alive, but I think there's also this idea that he knows they're clones now.
Yeah.
Because he really doesn't enforce the stun rule until he sees there's a clone.
Right.
Because he doesn't say anything about stun until he sees a dead clone there.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just him really trying to hide the fact that he doesn't want them to kill the other clones.
Yeah. So I'm honestly, for one, I'm so happy that it's not Tech under that fucking mask. And it's not going to be, like, guys, it's not. It's not.
I said that from the beginning when we saw, like, episode 1 in the trailer. I said, no, we've seen these guys. I don't know if you remember when we had our podcast earlier. I think it was brought up when we had it with, I think it was the trailer we had our guest on.
Oh, yeah.
It was, I don't remember who brought it up. I said, no, we've seen these guys before. We know that they're just brain-wiped clones.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make sense.
Well, and the last time we saw them was the same.
Very well.
Right. And the last time we saw one of these clones, when it was Clone X, is the same thing. He was going after Ryo Chuchi. Same exact thing.
So yeah, this episode is awesome. We got to see a bunch of reunions. I was so upset. I was like, "Oh, right, they're gonna see Gregor and Echo's gonna pop out, and this is gonna change Wolf's mind." It's like, oh, they didn't step out of the ship. I was so upset.
Yeah, I was very weird for Gregor to not be like, "What are you doing? Come on, come with us." Because normally he's like a loose cannon, you can't control him. But apparently in that moment he was like, "I'm going to be reserved and quiet just in case."
Yeah, that was the first time that he was there, but he didn't say a word.
Right, exactly. Which makes me then curious what's going to be happening with these next episodes. I'm now 100% on the there's going to be a quote unquote clone rebellion, and that'll probably be what the Empire uses to make them all sound evil and get rid of them. Oh, they rebelled, but there will be a breakout from Mount Tantus, and it's gonna lead to a huge fight with these clones.
They had to know that the chips would eventually start to wear off, and so I'm sure that's what the idea is.
I mean, but how stupid of Hemlock, really? Like, this is one of the dumb things where it's like, you believe your plan is so foolproof that you just keep your army filled with the same people who are, like, the quote-unquote traitors. All they have to do is, like, figure out... Because they're studying the chip. And you kind of said Soviet. It reminded me, like, they're studying it to the point now where, like, Crosshair even told them, hey, they have an electro implant on their tooth. Take it out or they'll kill themselves. And they did. They removed it from his tooth, so the guy they captured couldn't just end himself right there before he could answer any questions. So, like,
it's like a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
He
cheap free army, but it's a cheap free army that could turn on you.
Well, it's not really cheap. It's more of those are the only really elite soldiers they have at the moment because they're just the stormtroopers are brand new.
Yeah,
so you don't really have an elite stormtrooper unit yet. And so what we see with the Death Troopers later on, the kind of replaces these guys. They don't exist yet; they're still being made. So we, like I said, I wonder if we'll see the introduction of the Death Trooper in this because we don't see how they're made, like what the origin is. We just see them.
They'll come out with that nice iconic noise. That's like how they talk.
You don't understand any words that come out of their mouth. So weird. But they work as like these scientists and these like top secret base. The same thing that they're using with the clone commanders.
Yeah.
So eventually the clone commanders are going to be replaced. I guess when they end up siding with the clones, or they end up being wiped and turned into those guys.
Or if nothing else, yeah. If 80+% of the clones rebel, 100% get wiped out. If more than 60% rebel, they're all just going to get... Like, Palpatine's going to be like, nope, loose ends, tie it all.
I mean, he already wants to do it, I imagine. Yeah. He probably just hasn't done it because he's afraid, probably worried that there's going to be some political backlash. Yeah. There's still some people that believe they're heroes because they were fighting for them.
And if nothing else, he just needs some fodder to throw at planets that refuse him, kind of thing still. Like, the Empire in this stage is still so young.
Yeah, they don't have enough stormtroopers yet, so they're still using them in places. Like we just saw them, there was clones with Wolf and stormtroopers.
Yeah.
So they're still filling out their ranks. But yeah, the Death Trooper, we haven't seen what they look like under the mask. We have no idea who they are. They could be clone commandos repurposed.
Yeah.
We have no idea. They'd be
the ARC
then.
ARC troopers repurposed, or something. The last line of ARC troopers that were ever produced. But with Nala Se and all of her stuff now being under Imperial control, what's stopping them from just making more? I mean, the Death Troopers could be new clones. And that's a crazy.
This might be something we might find out. Yeah. You said, like I said, we
never stop.
They sound like. We don't know what they really sound like. We don't know what their faces look like.
And like you said, they only really guard high security facilities and high security personnel. Like, that's all they're for.
We've never seen one easily die except for the one episode on Andor.
Or their voice. We've never even heard their voice.
Yeah. But yeah, so next episode, I think we're gonna get another quote unquote filler. Filler is a bad name, but yeah.
Right. A plot mover. Something that grabs the plot and goes, okay, we need to go over here now.
Yeah, I think it's going to be another one like we had in The Return, which is previous, which is kind of like...
Let's see, next...
So Bad Territory.
Yeah, Bad Territory.
The name of the title. I don't think we're going to get Mount Tantus this quickly with Bad Territory.
Yeah. I feel like now would be a good time for them to introduce Asajj and or Cad Bane and Finnick, because with how many episodes we're coming up with left over, if they're going to be introducing things and like setting up a storyline with these other characters, it needs to get done now, because the last like 4 to 5 episodes, I imagine, need to be like just go 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 go, getting to a finale.
We're getting somebody called the Harbinger coming up, so that's going to be somebody important.
Yeah.
And then after that's going to be a really big drop, because we're getting another 2 episode, which is Identity Crisis and Point of No Return.
Which Point of No Return, that's going to be a big point.
Well, the Identity Crisis on that one, it's going to have to be something to do with the chips.
Yeah.
And
Wolf and all of them.
It could be Wolf. It could be some other clone. It could be maybe one of the agents waking up.
Hell, for all we know, Cody is now one of the leaders of the Shadows, and like, you know, blah blah blah. Like, there's all kinds of crazy shit that could happen. I would believe that Cody was turned into one of those special ops clones before Tech.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because we don't see Cody ever again.
Yeah,
I feel like they're going to kill him off. They kind of have to.
Just like an off-screen thing.
I would rather them do that than getting some random book about the adventures of Cody. As cool as that sounds, there's got to be a point where you got to make new characters, because when you start doing these these extended character stuff, you kind of start conflicting with canon, and things start getting out of control.
Yeah. Like, yeah, we can't have Cody running around during, you know, Star Wars Episode 4, 5, and 6.
You just gotta eventually put the characters in the drawer, you know?
Yeah.
We get the whole point of 4, 5, and 6 is most the Empire's in control of most of the galaxy.
Yeah. Like, heavily in control.
Especially in 4, like, the Rebels are way behind. So to keep having these, like, units of Rex still here, Cody still here, like, we can't keep doing that. Otherwise, it's just going to seem like, oh, it's not as a big deal as we thought. The Rebels are actually a lot stronger.
Right, exactly.
They're not as desperate as we've been hoping. And so it kind of defeats the purpose of the movie. And, you know, there's enough there. You could do something with Cody in a book, but I think to put Cody to rest is the best thing to do.
I like the idea of the Bad Batch being the resting place for all of them. Like, every single clone we don't know about dies or is explained to have died in these the last 4 episodes. There's just an exodus of clone v Empire fighting, and they just get wiped. And it's literally only like, yeah, there's these 3 that are going to go off on this planet, and Echo managed to live, and he's so fucking done with everything, and Omega flew off with whoever survives the Bad Batch, if anyone.
I wonder, I don't know what the time frame of this in Andor, because we still had that homeless
the 501st
clone. We had that clone sitting on the ground.
Oh, in the Kenobi series.
Yeah. Or was it Clone Kenobi?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kenobi series. I thought it was in the Kenobi series. So I guess that might have gone down at the same time as this.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering, because if they do betray them, then they wouldn't allow them to be like one sitting on the ground like that. They would just kill them.
Yeah, exactly. If there was one, if there's a rebellion, there's not going to be a 501st clone just chilling somewhere.
So yeah, I don't know if they're. I mean, I'm sure, like you said, there's going to have some kind of quick clone rebellion, and they're going to.
Yeah.
It's great for propaganda.
Yes.
Like, why we don't use clones anymore? Well, they turned on us.
Exactly. The filthy Jedi had, seeded their brains with mistrust.
I could see Palpatine using the whole Bad Batch and the Rex group as like, he's like, oh, this works perfect.
Look at how much they blow up Imperial facilities meant to give you freedom and security and food. They've stolen your shipments and killed your people. Yeah, it'd be easy as hell for them to turn them into insurgents and terrorists. Like, that's not hard at all for an Imperial propaganda network. I mean,
that's how they did with the Rebels. That's
exactly.
A lot of people were against the Rebels, and it's because they didn't get to see. That's what people don't understand is, like, why were the Rebels so small? Well, like on Coruscant, which we kind of saw on Andor,
yes.
So a lot of people were supportive of the Empire because to them was just the same thing as the Republic for some people.
Yep. Whoever signs the check, they don't care as long as the check gets signed.
I think the only main change for some planets is an occupation of some stormtroopers,
Mm-hmm.
a new built garrison, and then your politicians change because they replace all
Yep.
the planet governors with or the senators with governors
Yep.
when they're imperial officers.
Usually a human.
Yeah, they it's always a human. I don't think
Yep.
there's ever been a non-human.
Besides Masamita, and that's just because
Well,
he was kicking it with his homeboy before he was the emperor. Masamita's the biggest yes man in the world.
yeah, I forget about his little puppet.
Yep. But yeah, and this one is going to really lead up to what is going to be the end of the clones in a good way, because whereas Bad Batch, like Bad Batch again is still not the story of Omega. It is not the story of her. She's in it. She is a part of Bad Batch. She's a part of this story 1000%. But I think Bad Batch is a story of the Bad Batch and the clones and like how it's just going to go away.
Yeah, this show really it's about the Bad Batch team,
Mm-hmm.
and then B, this is really a connecting piece of basically kind of Clone Wars to Rebels or Clone Wars to the rest of the canon.
Mm-hmm.
That little gap there, but it's done really well. It's not just like, hey, this is what happens. This is why this is this. No, it's that we're actually getting stories. We're getting compelling info. We're getting great characters. Matter of fact, like I said, this is one of the best series that we've gotten.
Oh, 100%. No, I think with these last few episodes, with the way that we still have so much more to go, I 100% believe that Bad Batch Season 3 is going to be this part where they realize this is better than Clone Wars. Like, because it's such a silly comparison, but people will still make it. Because, like, oh no, Clone Wars is the best Star Wars ever. And like, no, Bad Batch is a better story. I love Clone Wars. But
they've seen Bad Batch. And I watched an episode.
Right.
I watched part of the first season.
Clone Wars is a serial drama action. It is literally meant to set up, complete, set up, complete, set up, complete, set up, complete. Bad Batch is a multi-layered, leveled story with multiple loose ends, things trying to be tied up that are going to take multiple episodes. It is obviously the better written, more cohesive show. Clone Wars will forever be Clone Wars is the best clean your house or you just want it in the background Star Wars because you ain't got to pay attention to any of it.
Especially the first 3 seasons are really the animators, the writers. They're all finding how is this show going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Really hitting the good stuff to around episode 4. Season 4.
And we need Clone Wars to get through those 4 seasons and learn how to do this to get Bad Batch. But like, obviously, Bad Batch has a better story. Obviously, Clone Wars is more easy to watch because it's just explosions, pew pew, done.
It's meant for children's TV.
Yeah,
that's what it was on. This is not. This is meant for the streaming service. This was not. The pacing is meant for streaming services, not meant for having commercials constantly break up.
Yeah,
so that's one reason why you get those more explosions and less of a story because you're watching a bit. Commercial interrupts the show. Because you got to catch back up what just happened. Well, don't have to worry about it because we already know it doesn't matter. We're just going to show you something else that's cool. We don't really get any really compelling storytelling till near the end of the last couple of seasons.
Yep.
That's when we start seeing really impact. And that's, like I said, I feel like, too, is the part of the studio that was doing the Clone Wars were still young.
Yeah.
They were still trying to find a voice. How are we going to write things? How are we going to develop the story? And so they started to develop that way. And we get to see that with the Rebels, with some of these animators, and moved on to Rebels and writers, where they started developing this more mature, yet keeping it good for children.
Yeah, still lighthearted, but it was definitely more mature in Rebels.
This definitely feels like the apex of combined of what they've learned up to this point.
So it's like, I don't think it's a fair comparison, but I still could see where people would say Bad Batch beats out all the other animated series. Like, Visions is so artistically stunning and beautiful in that 5 to 10 minute story you get. But again, Bad Batch, like you said, that's a good way to put it, it's the peak of the mountain of Star Wars animation. They've worked so hard. They've built up this story for so long. I mean, I'm sure this story has been in somewhat of a back burner for Dave Filoni since season 4 or 5. The last few seasons of Clone Wars, he already had Bad Batch. He had it.
I'm sure early on he wanted, especially when he did Clone 99. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, now we got these defective clones. What if there was a team of defective clones?
Right, exactly.
He probably would start writing from there, and then with everything that's already happened at this point, he probably is like, well, I've already got this idea. I could easily implant this, and this, and he probably just like, and that's probably where the idea came from. I'm sure he had the core idea, the Bad Batch team, and everything.
Right.
And then I'm sure Omega probably wasn't even in it originally. I'm sure she was.
Yeah, I could see that.
To making everything connect, and she really is. And if she's still, the one thing that I want to see out of this show when it ends, if Omega is alive, if she's not killed off in some experiment, I don't need I'm not asking for a whole show, which would be cool.
Yeah.
Later Omega, but at least don't want to get some of the treatment we've gotten in Star Wars previously, where we don't ever hear anything about it again. Give me something with Omega.
Yeah.
Like, put her in
You've built her up
movie.
And again, like with Ahsoka, you can't build it like you made us. At first, people were like, "Oh God, another child girl character," and just like with Ahsoka, for a lot of us, now we really like Omega. She's had so much character development in this series and like growth as a literal small girl and a character in Star Wars. Like it's been amazing to see this. And so like if she makes it, I need to know what she does. I don't care if she becomes a moisture farmer. Just tell me.
Honestly, I feel like it'd be at this point, as we know she's midichlorian count.
Yep.
Just like I believed it the same with Sabine. I feel like it's a disservice to the character to make her full Jedi. Because she's pretty much like a clone now. She's learning warfare. She's learning how to fight.
Yeah.
She's learning subterfuge. She's more like later on. She'd be a great commander for, some rebellion, some unit.
Yeah,
so
mercenary band, something.
She'd be a lot better for that. But maybe.
Maybe she just becomes some town sheriff, and she's like, "I'm gonna keep all of you safe. But I'm not leaving this planet, because out there it's a bunch of death."
So she's basically, what's his name?
Oh, yeah, Cobb Vanth.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's Cobb Vanth on some, like, lush planet. She's like, she just finds somewhere nice. It's like, I'm going to stay here forever.
As cool as Cobb Vanth is, that'd be funny if we go back and they she's there wearing Boba Fett's armor.
She's now the daimyo.
This fits surprisingly well.
She just becomes the new daimyo. Yeah, I just found this girl.
The sheriff.
Oh yeah, the new sheriff. Nah, man, she would take over.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great to have her cameo or part in the Mandalorian movie as a much older, mature.
And we need more Book of Boba Fett anyway. I'm down for a chapter 2. Let's go. Family reunion.
But I mean, I wouldn't turn down an animated series based on her. I think it'd be difficult.
Oh no, live action. We got to get a live action Omega.
But yeah, having her appearance in another series, I'm afraid we won't get Book of Boba Fett season 2.
Boo.
There's so much stuff left off. It's the same thing. I'm like, don't introduce cool things and never touch them again. There's to you, Solo.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that we touched on Rogue One. I was surprised we got that, but yeah, don't introduce like with Ahsoka. Like, please, after we get all that crazy cool lore drop and cool characters, don't.
I get it.
Not
Ray Stevenson, God's rest his soul. Don't want to replace him. We need someone to, though, because I need Baylan Skoll's story to continue, because it's a really friggin' cool story and a really cool character.
And and it would be disservice to the actress that plays Shen. She had her awesome character too.
Yes.
She could be, the introduction to the Sith, to the new Sith that we maybe, sitting in the background.
The rule of 4. No more there shall be than 2 groups of 2.
She finally comes off the planet after Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. All pissed off and just ready to go.
took her that long. I mean, it would take her a lot longer.
It would take her a while. She's just force choking Purgle to finally listen to her. No, I really do feel like that's a big thing with Star Wars. Is there's like sometimes something will hit so good they're like, okay, but if we touch it anymore, people will hate it. If you don't touch it at all, we'll hate it even more. Like we'll hate it so much more with there being such massively open-ended endings.
Yeah,
we need another season of Book of Boba Fett because you guys literally set it up. Like you literally set it up.
Well, people will be like, I could see some people immediately that don't really watch the show that much will be like, oh, let's get more stuff with Cody at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's really like, let's get more stuff with Omega. She has a story to tell.
Yeah.
And she's
a legitimate one that can last a lot longer.
Yeah, I just want to see, if we do get a live action, I want to just see like, like a 99 or like a skull or something to represent like the bandana tied around his arm.
Well, right, because like just that, like the second movie got this
tied back with Hunter's bandana would be so cool.
Yeah, because in The Mandalorian we got that moment with Spurs in front of the camera, and we were all like, "Oh my god, was that Boba Fett?" And we all speculated, and it made things crazy awesome. That's all we really need too. You want to get someone hyped for Book of Boba Fett Chapter 2? Have Boba Fett like talking, and you just hear from behind him, "It's a pleasure to meet you finally, brother." And you turn around and again, you just see like a little 99 emblem on a piece of armor, and then like a red bandana from the back, and then that's it. People are gonna watch that show.
A clone pauldron with the
with the 99 on it, and then she's got like her red bandana pulling her hair back, or like tied in a ponytail or some shit. And he's just like, brother, and boom, there's the whole show. You've got people hooked already. I'm watching it.
I mean, honestly, the craziest part is how they're building her right now. She's becoming very OP. She's strong. Like all of them combined. Now she's got the sniper teaching her.
Yeah, she's got Crosshair teaching her how to shoot. Hunter taught her how to track. Tech taught her how to hack. Echo taught her how to fly. Wrecker taught her how to laugh at anything. Be fun. Sadly, you can't really teach her to lift a tank and throw it with one arm.
Yeah.
But he's taught her how to do push-ups, I'm sure, things like that. she's gonna be a hell of a mercenary or a warrior or something.
If they make her a character too, if I had to pick a perfect casting, like we're saying later live action, Book of Boba Fett, what have you, I mean honestly, if they want to keep the similar thing, they need to get a what's this? The same people that
Maori.
Maori people.
They need a nice Maori girl.
Big, buff woman. I mean, like, I don't want to see I don't want. We don't need her to be small and skinny
and petite,
and dainty.
Yeah.
She needs to be strong. She needs to look. She needs to be a soldier, a warrior. She needs to be like just massive,
like the older sister from Encanto, just like fucking just big.
Well, be that big.
And fucking jacked.
She's not Wrecker, but female. But still, we need a strong because we lost our strong female character. We need
that's actually a good point. I highly agree with that though. Like the little girls that had something with Cara Dune, they still need that, and Star Wars can fill that so easily. There are so many badass girls.
Well, and the problem with most of the girls in Star Wars is they end up either being background pieces or they end up just being beautiful and dainty. Not every girl has to be that way. Not every girl wants to see. Not every there's.
That's why Carrie Fisher was one of the biggest cultural icons of forever, because she was gorgeous, pretty. She had moments of distress, but she was never a pretty princess in distress. Like she was never a damsel. So I feel like that is a big part of Star Wars is having those people. And you're gonna need it to help Rey, because Rey's not that character. Rey's totally different.
Well, and Rey fits that. What I was just saying is we keep seeing where they're small and they're beautiful, and that's great. But not every character has to be that.
Yeah.
There's people, and that's one of my favorite things. Is that there's a photographer who took pictures of all. Athletes from every sport, peak athletes from every women's sport, and it shows that how different women are depending on what sport they're. Like, it showed the gymnastics were small and skinny, and then it had bodybuilder or like powerlifters are big and broad,
fucking massive,
and
burly. It's awesome.
So they, people come in different shapes and sizes,
right?
And then peak athleticism comes in different shapes and sizes as well. It makes sense that a lot of Jedis would be that smaller figure. We've seen, because they use the Force. They don't necessarily have to use their muscles.
But then we get things like the Ninth Sister, who is big and just a monster pretty much.
And Omega, even if she does become the Jedi, which I still think would be a disservice.
Yeah.
It would make sense that she would still like revert to full Jediism. She would still keep all that stuff. This is right now. This is her life, is being a soldier.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty much. And she's fine with it. She's not shying away from it. She doesn't want to turn away from it. She's not going to lose that bit of her. Just like Sabine's never going to not be part Mandalorian. Like, she'll never be a Jedi as the Jedi are coded, because the Mandalorian inside of her wouldn't allow that. Just like the clone inside of Omega would never allow her to just always choose peace. No, they're still going to throw a punch every now and again.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping, that if we do get Ahsoka season 2, I hope Sabine kind of still reverts back to, because she's joined the Empire before.
Yeah.
She's joined other groups before, but she still kept who she is.
Yeah.
And I feel like it really is a disservice to make her a full Jedi.
I don't think she's ever going to be a full Jedi.
I just feel like that's what they were trying to push towards. They were trying to force it.
I never did. I never felt that at all. But that's me. Like, that's like whenever she's in a fight, she still has blaster in one hand, saber in the other. But it's the same with Omega, though, because again, I do agree in the sentiment. They don't need to become a full Jedi, because that part of them that is clone and Mandalorian is what makes them themselves. It's what makes them Sabine. It's what makes them Omega.
But she does go to this kind of like crazy combine of all these characters, or like a bounty hunter, mercenary, whatever she ends up becoming. She has to go into hiding for a bit, because I'm sure she's constantly being chased. But having the access to the Force, her ability to track from Hunter, and her ability to snipe and fly is just like elevated way past her brothers, because the Force will amplify it.
Yeah.
So just the fact that she has all those midichlorians, she has the potential that she could be better than her brothers.
Mm-hmm. And that's going to lead to a really awesome moment. I feel like that might even be seen. I could see that coming to a head in these last few episodes of the finale, where if there's not like a time jump, then if nothing else, we see Omega snipe, hunt, like literally take on all the aspects of what she's learned. I 100% know we will see that somewhere in one of these episodes. And now that she's got a new crossbow, Echo gave her a gift in this last episode. Pretty much took her giant bow and turned it into a smaller bow caster, which looks awesome. The barrel and trigger looks a lot like Boba Fett's E11. Is it an E11 blaster? No, that's the common military one.
No, that's the
Stormtrooper. But his West or whatever rifle that he uses on everything. It's like a DC-6 or something, but that rifle, it has the same kind of barrel and the same kind of trigger, so if nothing else, like, whenever I see Omega now with that gun, I really just like, bro, she looks just like Boba Fett, but, like, with a cooler dad.
Yeah, I'm glad they get rid of the bow.
Yeah.
I felt like the bow really was, one, to give a weapon to a child, and two, to sell toys. Which we never really saw that.
They never once did that. Never once.
It's easy to do a toy that just like launches like Nerf darts or something.
Yeah.
They have a Nerf bow. It's just the same principle.
Right.
And now this one is kind of the same concept though, because you charge it. It's weird. I was like, oh, we got a Wookiee bowcaster, and then as you see it up close, and she goes like this. I'm like, okay, what? I guess that works. That's technically not a gun. We didn't give a child a gun still.
Yeah, exactly. It has a cocking mechanism. Yeah, just a very high-powered laser crossbow.
And it's funny, that's how, like, people that don't perceive weapons or tools, they don't know them very well.
But
don't know that crossbows are very dangerous.
Well, that's the thing, though. Even in the Star Wars universe, like, yeah, they didn't give her a blaster. Wookiee bowcasters are way more powerful than common blasters. So, like, is this little pistol thing actually stupid powerful? I think so.
Yeah, it looks like the thing that when she pulls it back, it's got this like long like plasma darts.
Yeah, exactly. That thing is so dangerous. But it's going to be very useful because I feel like they're really going to start hitting into the head. I could see these next, 2-4 episodes being more setup. And like you said, this next one's definitely going to be a setup episode, getting us into this next little bit of story arc to get to the finale. But I don't think we're going to get too many more of those before we start getting really into some heavy stuff.
We get 2 episodes and then we're getting that double premiere.
Yeah.
So these probably might be 2 filler. I'm sure we're going to start seeing Asajj or something.
Mm-hmm.
And either this episode or the one Harbinger. I could see Asajj showing up in the Harbinger episode personally.
Yeah.
But, we don't know.
But it's been really awesome to get all this Bad Batch. And this last episode is, if you love the Clone Wars, man, these last 2 episodes of Bad Batch are going to just pique all of your interest, because you're just going to be looking around like, who was that? Oh, what clone was that? Oh, what clone was that? Oh, that's so cool. Oh, there's that clone. Oh, there's that clone. It's an awesome time. It really felt like an homage to the Clone Wars, just being like, hey guys, here's a lot of loose ends that we've had from the Clone Wars through to Rebels that we just couldn't tie up. We're going to work on that now. It was good to see Hauser again. It was good to see Rex, doing his thing. And I don't think the guys are going to be out much more. Like, I feel like Rex is going to be around in almost every episode hereafter. Like, they're really working together as a team. Because they all have the same goal now.
They're stuck on the same ship. Unless he somehow says, oh, I got this other base I got to run off to.
Yeah.
But we got a big team now that they're going to be working towards finding Mount Tantus, because they have Gregor, they have him. So they have more of a bigger group. I mean, they would have had a lot more if they didn't lose them. But.
Yeah. Yeah, they got like 8 to 10 clones or something in this ship, so it's a hell of a party. Like, they're going to be able to do something crazy. I don't know if they're going to steal a bigger ship. I don't know what they're going to do, but they're definitely going to be fighting off some bounty hunters here soon. Like with what you said, I feel like these next 3 episodes are very much so going to be the setup for Asajj or Cad and Finnick. I know I say that like every week because I just really want to see Asajj badly and see what happens with that. But I'm liking the pacing. I think the pacing of the show has been done really, really well, and it doesn't feel rushed. It doesn't feel too slow.
Yeah, I'm very surprised. I thought this would be a lot more rushed.
Yeah, it's been a very, very fun ride to have these episodes of Bad Batch, and they really are the pinnacle of the animation that we've had up until now. Animation is far from over. They're still like hiring animators at Disney. They still have things in the pipeline they've been talking about. So thankfully, I know the animation team is going to come out with some more awesome stuff. We're going to have more Tales of the Jedi and things like that, of course. But I don't know if we need more clones after this. Besides, like, maybe very randomly, like a flashback or something like that. But, like, I feel like we've had the clone era. It was a great time. It was a good time for Star Wars with the clones.
If we see the clones, I still love I like the clones a lot. I would want a different medium.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be very expensive to do live action, I understand. And if we do, I would like to go back to maybe during the Clone Wars, just seeing like some clone battles of, like some of these like
Night 3 on Christophsis. Like, yeah, instead of it being the big final battle, just like,
it's just like a military drama. But during the Clone Wars, it'd be interesting.
I could see that being comic book style very well.
We could get like a clone regiment we haven't met before. With the Jedi we haven't met before. That I could see that being a thing. That's what I would like to see. Am I begging for it? No. Would that want the next animation? Would I want to be clone related? No. I would like it to be something different.
Yeah.
I think we once. What I would like to see is once the Mandalorian movie is done, I want to see it to be end of the kind of I guess I don't know to call this the filler area.
I call it Clone Saga. Clone, yeah.
um, to the sequel movies.
The Fall of the Empire.
Well, it's like it's because it's not only pre-Galactic Civil War. It's during the original trilogy. So there's stuff all over.
Mm.
But it's all this one. What we've been focusing on is the safe era. Essentially, what all this is literally the safe era, and I'm ready to move beyond that.
Yeah,
I'm ready to do it past the sequels. Do it pre the prequels. Do something that we haven't seen before. Because even when we did go past the original trilogy with like The Mandalorian, we got some Mandalorian stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
But you're still skirting safety. We're still seeing stormtroopers. We're still seeing same cat. We're still seeing Boba Fett. I was great to see Boba Fett again, but it's still safe. It's not new.
And I couldn't agree more. We getting outside. We say it like almost every time because it's just what we need. You got to get new blood in Star Wars for it to continue. And man, we have sucked the Skywalkers dry as Tatooine. Like, wow, we have squeezed.
And Order 66.
Right, exactly. We've just squeezed every drop of fucking moisture that we could possibly get out of there.
I'm waiting for the next series to be just like a civilian on a random planet during Order 66.
Right.
Isn't it? I mean, I guess that's what Andor kind of is.
I mean, hell, another, like, again, in a comic book series, here's Order 66, the Tales. Like, here's every fucking Jedi and clone trooper.
What happens. It's fine. We know what happened. There's nothing to tell. We know what happened.
They turned, they killed their Jedi, they moved on. That was we got it. You made it very clear.
Questions we had left, we've been learning with this show right now.
Yep.
We were what happened to the rest of the clones? We are finding that out.
Yep. So this could literally be the beautiful goodbye letter to the clones, and it is a good one. It is a great send off for the last clone-inspired, heavily influenced thing. The Bad Batch is going to go down famously for anyone who likes Star Wars. Like, it's easily going to be a part of, no, we need to watch in consecutive order if we're doing like a huge movie thing. Clone Wars is good to have in there because of the little bits it teaches you about Asajj and Dooku and blah, blah, blah. But man, Bad Batch, if you watched the Bad Batch before going into the sequels, somehow Palpatine returned would just make sense to you. You would actually think, oh yeah, that makes sense. He's been Project Necromancer. Yeah, I could see that. It would just make sense.
And don't, when I say this, don't get me wrong. I love the Bad Batch. I love the main one. I love all this stuff. This is great. I'm glad we had it. I'm glad we got to tell the missing stories. But at this point, we've got what we wanted.
Yeah.
We've shown that people still like Star Wars, and we've shown that we can add new characters. We've shown we can go beyond the timeline a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But let's push it a little bit further.
The Acolyte. Woo!
So, even if you don't like the idea of the Acolyte, or you don't like the show at all, just watch it. They get the numbers up there, so you start saying, "Hey, Disney, this is the kind of we are. It's okay to leave the Skywalker era."
If you don't like the Acolyte, there's something wrong with you. Do you like Sith and the dark side and lightsabers? Yes, you watch Star Wars. Do you like epic fights between Jedi and Marauders? Yeah, you watch Star Wars. Do you like drama? Yes. Star Wars is a space opera.
And
you're gonna like Acolyte. Just because it's based in the High Republic has nothing to do with any of it.
My best advice for going into this, which most people won't even watch this or ignore, my best advice is to go in it with an open mind.
Yep.
Ignore what you've heard from articles or from podcasts or from anything.
Yeah.
Go in it with an open mind. This is a new Star Wars show.
Yep.
This has nothing to do with Luke Skywalker. This has nothing to do with Anakin Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
This has nothing to do with Yoda. Nothing to do with Darth Vader or Palpatine. This is Star Wars. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Think of it like you're watching the Old Republic, just a different period.
Yep.
We know you love that.
Exactly. And that's all it is. Literally, that's what the High Republic is. If you took the Sith out of the Old Republic, that's the High Republic. It's just, what if the Jedi had thousands of years without an enemy to fight to just better themselves? There you go. There's the High Republic.
The Sith are in this.
Yeah. But it's going to be such a good show. And yeah, support it. Even if you don't precisely like exactly it, again, it's not pushing an agenda. All those things you're hearing are just other people telling you what their opinion of it is. I'll guarantee you 97, I'll give you a strong 96.5% of all Star Wars is actually enjoyable when you remove the asshats from the comment section who tell you shouldn't enjoy it. If you don't listen to somebody else's opinion and just watch the damn movie, it's actually pretty enjoyable. Or shows, whichever one it is.
Well, the woke quotes and comments and stuff were actually misquoted too. So
exactly. Like, I mean, what's the biggest one ever? Luke, I am your father. That's not what he says at all. No, I am your father.
Coming from somebody that's, I don't know, from the backwoods of nowhere that served in the military, that is without going full right wing as possible. I don't consider myself that, but I'm not what you would call woke. I'm sorry. I'm not far left. I'm not far either direction, but I own guns. I own other stuff.
So what is it? I just want my gay friends to get married and protect their pot plants with their AR-15s.
So coming from somebody that has read the High Republic books, yeah, it is not. It's, especially the adult novels, the kid ones. There's some kid ones that are a little silly.
Yeah.
But the adult ones are very violent. There's a lot of death. It's probably the most death I've read in a Star Wars novel.
It's so bad. People literally get sucked dry of their Force essence.
Death is not like, it's not just like, oh, he cuts them down the lights.
No, like they're kicking and screaming and it's violent.
It's worse than getting Thanos snapped. It's
exactly.
It's slower and they feel it.
Yeah, you feel the whole thing the whole time, and you don't like any of it. So,
and it traumatizes them too because the effects on the head and everything.
Before too long, we will actually be doing a podcast over some more High Republic stuff as we're getting more and more into Phase 3. If you guys have any questions about High Republic, put that in the comment section down below. I would happily conversate with anyone over why they should give the High Republic a chance, because I guarantee you any reason you have for why you don't want to read those books or listen to them, because the audiobooks are just as easy. They're very easy to listen to. Mark Thompson does a great job narrating most of them. If you can't get into them because of, there's not enough lightsaber combat. Bro, yeah, there is. I just don't like that there's no dark side, light side. You know what? You got me there. There's no Darksiders, but there sure as hell is the dark side. There are not good people. The
bad guys are... You will be happy that they're not Sith.
Yeah. Marchion Ro does not need to be a Sith whatsoever. Could I go on a tangent about how the Sith are probably behind the Nihil attacks originally? Maybe. Yeah, totally. We could talk about the kind of, sort of, what if total theories I have. But that's another time, and that's another podcast. Thank you all so much for stopping by on this episode 64, as we had a great time conversating about the epicness that was a clone send-off in a great way, with so many amazing characters being brought back in for an amazing series, the finale, Season 3 of The Bad Batch. Guys, again, down in the comments, ask your questions about the High Republic, ask your questions about The Bad Batch, and let us know what you think of the current state of the Star Wars literacy and show medias. Let us know. We'd love to hear. And as always, have an amazing rest of your evening, and may the Force serve you well.
May the Force be with you.